quite rightly, lots has been said already about the field and the history and Bethlehem, and this always brings us back to the shepherds. My thinking has always been that the shepherds' place in the story is that they are ordinary people, a little bit looked down on, outcasts, the kind of people that Jesus chose as his disciples and built the early church on in a beautiful and an amazing way. So the ordinariness of the shepherds is always quite rightly emphasized. If you look back at the history of the Old Testament, it contradicts that a little bit, because you look back at King David and Moses and others who were very significant parts of the history of Israel who were shepherds. However, their story is always that they were called away from being a shepherd to the thing that God had called them to. At the same time, Jesus goes on to be called the Good Shepherd. And in the early church, the favourite way of depicting Jesus was as a good shepherd, often with a sheep around his shoulders, looking after and allowing the sheep to follow him. But there is another significance when it comes to the shepherds, and that is in revealing the identity of who Jesus is for those who have eyes to see. Because what do shepherds know about? Well, they definitely know about mangers and lambs. In fact, they would have been absolute experts on these things. If you understand that it is thought that Bethlehem was the place where most of the lambs that were used for sacrifice in Jerusalem, which isn't very far away from Bethlehem, then you get a greater picture and understanding of what these shepherds would have known about. So when you look at the cave or the grotto that would have been where Jesus would have been born, and the holes that are carved in the walls, and the idea that one of the uses of those holes would have been to keep swaddling bands, or what we call cloths. Shepherds, above all people, would not have only known the use of these swaddling bands, but would also be the absolute experts in using them properly. That a newborn lamb might hurt itself, and so swaddling bands or cloths were used to make sure that they couldn't accidentally break or injure their legs when they first tried to walk, and so on. And this was needed above all so that a lamb would be without blemish, spotless for the sacrifice. Look forward to the story of the cross and the detail that because Jesus was already dead, they didn't break his legs to finish the thing before the sun went down, before the Jewish Sabbath, because Jesus would be spotless in this way. Not one of his bones was broken. So when you think about what the angel said to the shepherds in detail, this is the sign for the shepherds, uniquely for them, that you will find a baby in a manger, of all places, wrapped in swaddling cloths, of all things. And the shepherds understood. The manger would have been made of stone. It would have been very strong and very significant. The cloths would be there for the protection, to make sure that the lamb would stay spotless. So when they found what the angel had described, and they knew that they had found the right baby and the right parents because they saw the manger and the swaddling bands, what did they see? Well, they would have seen the amazing thing of a newborn baby in a stable of all places, in a manger of all places, wrapped in swaddling bands of all things, but they would also have seen a spotless, without blemish lamb. And it's pointing towards what John the Baptist said when he saw Jesus coming as an adult to be baptized. John the Baptist looks up and says, "Behold, the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world." The shepherds would uniquely have understood what they were seeing. A lamb spotless, without blemish, who grew up to be the one man who was also God and never sinned, and therefore was able to be the one who went to the cross to die in our place. Jesus, the Lamb of God.